A young woman experiences an incident that makes her have to survive the extinction of humanity. The Earth is getting an alien attack that makes many people disappear until she is left. At the beginning of the film, there is a young woman named Aubrey. At that time, she was at a funeral mourning the loss of her best friend named Grace. Aubrey is very lost and can't even say a word. Even she became the subject of ridicule by Grace's friends while at the funeral home. Who knows what happened to them, as if Aubrey was guilty of Grace's death. Aubrey meets Grace's cousin named Alice. They still can't believe Grace left them all. Alice knows that Aubrey is Grace's best friend. She also says that in her last moments, Grace often said about a song that made her obsessed. Suddenly, Aubrey remembered something. After that, Aubrey decided to go to the apartment where they used to be together, a city covered in snow. Aubrey tries to go inside. There are many memories of when they were together. The point is, Aubrey still can't forget Grace. There was a telescope belonging to Grace that Aubrey was not allowed to use. It turned out that the telescope was pointing directly at the window of someone else's apartment who was making love. Aubrey didn't know that Grace had a pretty unique hobby. Aubrey lived and slept there. Aubrey tried to call her mother just to hear her voice. Unfortunately, their conversation couldn't last long because it was cut off by a bad network. Besides Grace, Aubrey also had a lover named Edward. Unfortunately, they had broken up a long time ago. Aubrey dreamed of seeing Edward crying in his room with half of his face missing. Aubrey woke up and felt something was wrong outside the apartment. Snow was still covering the city. Aubrey saw black smoke in the distance. The electricity was also out. The telephone connection was also not working. Aubrey tried to turn on the generator behind the apartment. After that, Aubrey became more curious about where the people had gone. Aubrey didn't see anyone that day. Then there was a man running. Aubrey tried to chase him, but unfortunately she lost track. Aubrey searched several corners of the city, but what she found actually scared her. Aubrey saw a strange alien creature with sharp teeth. The alien knew where Aubrey was. Aubrey rushed back to the apartment and closed the door, while the alien kept banging on the front door until the glass cracked. Not long after, Aubrey got an incoming call on her walkie-talkie. It was unclear who was calling her, but the man asked Aubrey not to be afraid and stood up and faced the door. Slowly, the alien disappeared from there. The man then asked Aubrey to calm down and go upstairs because it was safer. Aubrey kept trying to ask who he was. Even the man knew Aubrey's name. Aubrey kept asking what was really happening here. Why did people suddenly disappear? Is this the apocalypse of humanity? Aubrey was silent for a moment while contemplating that her parents had also disappeared. Aubrey saw a message containing a letter and a cassette displayed on one of the cabinets. Aubrey took it, and there was a message from Grace. The cassette contained a recording of Grace's voice for Aubrey, but the cassette was more than just a message. There is a sound or signal in the recording. The signal turns out to be a form of communication to other planets and aliens. Grace spreads the signal to several recordings, so Aubrey has to find it. This is reinforced by the man who called her using a walkie-talkie. The man confirmed that the signal could make communication with aliens. From there, Aubrey has the belief that maybe Grace is trying to close the alien entry portal and prevent more aliens from entering Earth. Since listening to Grace's recording, Aubrey has found many strange things. Sometimes she dreams of being surrounded by aliens hitting her, but it turns out to be just a hallucination. Now Aubrey has to find and collect hidden recordings. Luckily, Grace has given a code and clues so Aubrey can find them. The locations are familiar to Aubrey because they used to go there often to spend time together. The next day, Aubrey starts her own adventure. The first place she goes to is the supermarket. Unlike in zombie movies where the supermarket is messy, here Aubrey still sees the supermarket, neatly arranged and still intact. Some snacks and drinks Aubrey takes for supplies. Then she finds the recording she's looking for. After getting the tape, Aubrey sees blood stains. The stains lead to the warehouse, and there is a man lying lifeless. Aubrey leaves the body there, then she continues her search for the recording. Aubrey has a little problem. At that time, there is an alien roaming around. Aubrey has to hide, otherwise Aubrey could be his meal. Aubrey gets into the car and takes cover there, while turning on the music so that the alien's roar cannot be heard. Aubrey felt like she was in an anime world where she was the only one alive. Not long after she woke up, she was suddenly under the car. After the alien left, Aubrey went back to searching. This time, she went into a cinema. The location showed that there was a recording there. Aubrey didn't seem to have any trouble finding the recording. Then Aubrey took a break and went to sleep. When she woke up, it was already dark. Aubrey couldn't believe she saw a big alien flying in the air. It seemed like they were preying on humans, and Aubrey had to be careful. This time, Aubrey went to the library. In the minimal lighting, Aubrey met an alien who seemed to be still trapped like a cocoon. The alien was not dangerous, but he could find out where Aubrey was. Aubrey finally found the cassette recording. Aubrey went back to rest and dreamed of meeting Grace. Aubrey apologized to her for not being able to take care of Grace in her last moments. Aubrey should have been there for Grace, but unfortunately, Aubrey couldn't do that. The deep regret made Aubrey cry, and somehow she had to live without her best friend. Grace did not blame Aubrey. This was indeed fate and could not be fought. Grace was actually happy that Aubrey could find the cassette recording. No friend could replace Grace for Aubrey. Aubrey began to listen to some of the recordings, and it was as if she was in a different world. The alien voices showed a code or signal that was starting to complete. The longer Aubrey listened to the recording, the more she was taken back to the time when she was still with Edward. Aubrey saw Edward cold on the beach. Unfortunately, Edward could not return to her. A few moments later, Aubrey returned to her world. She walked to the last place where the recording was. But that night, she met directly with an alien who might have killed humans. As much as possible, Aubrey did not move and make a sound. In the end, the alien left Aubrey. Aubrey went to the radio station. That's where the last recording should have been. Aubrey played the last recording and heard the same voice as the previous recording. Aubrey tried to contact the humans who were still surviving until someone answered her call. Aubrey then told her location, but it turned out that the voice was the man who first called her through the walkie-talkie. The man explained that Aubrey had opened the alien entrance to Earth. The recording he played turned out to be a signal and code that Aubrey eventually put together for the aliens. Was this a mistake? Or was it really Grace who wanted this to happen? Aubrey leaves the radio station and goes near an invisible wall with some liquid rising up. Aubrey tries to touch it and enters the barrier. Aubrey floats, and then she is taken back to the time when she was with Edward until they were angry and separated. And finally, the film ends.